Here's another back to basics, maybe even more basicer than the previous video, and this is regarding pentatonics. Now, I have done a video where I showed a small fragment of minor pentatonic data, for lack of a better term, and it's the bottom half of the first shape that, at least in 1980, this is what we learned, the minor pentatonic scale. I think I've pointed out that that is more than 2 octaves worth of information, and as you move that up the neck and it continues to mutate shapes, it becomes a set of arbitrary shapes that we need to memorize. There's 5 of them going up the neck and they're linked together, and you've seen that. I've shown those, and I believe I've probably included PDFs. I'll try to put a PDF together for this. However, this is the identifiable part of that, and I think it's important to narrow that larger scale that goes across the neck down to just the 1 octave, because that's what the minor pentatonic scale sounds like from root to root. Now, as I demonstrated in an earlier video, when you get to the top note, replace your 3rd finger that you've landed on with your 4th finger and play the same fingering. And my fingering goes 1, 4, 1, 3, 1, 3 based on a finger per fret, that premise. When you get here, 1, 4, 1, 3, 1, 3, that last pair of notes required a shift because of the mistuned strings on your guitar. So here's how they work. G minor from G to G, G minor from G to G, G minor from G to G. Now I moved the final pair of notes down to the 5th string. From that G, again I'm using the same fingering for all of these, and from this G, and you can see that there's a shift built in. And so sometimes you may look at that and go, well, gee, why didn't you just play it with this finger instead of shifting? And it's because I'm trying to associate a sound that is very identifiable, 1 octave of G minor pentatonic, with the same fingering. Now, as you get comfortable with this, feel free to finger it any way you want, but I think it's identifying shapes on the neck maybe more than fingerings. But adhering to that fingering will help facilitate this. Now, the thing that I don't know that I'd really ever considered is when you go clear across the neck and the top half on the top 3 strings starts with 1, 3 and goes 1, 4, 1, 4. That is actually the relative major pentatonic. So the bottom half of this shape is G minor pentatonic. The top half of the shape is B flat major pentatonic. That's the relative major. Now, the major pentatonic sort of normal shape, I'm going to start it here on this B flat, 2nd note of my G minor pentatonic, and I'm going to play 2, 4, 1, 4, 1, 4. Again, that's what we'll call the normal fingering. 2, 4, 1, 4, 1, 4. Now, as we move from 3rd to 2nd strings, we'll have to shift some of those things around, and that's okay. But here's B flat major pentatonic. From there was a shift that was necessary. From here, and from here, and from here, on top of the G minor is the B flat major pentatonic. Now, of course, they do overlap. If I start from here, that is the B flat major pentatonic scale. However, we'll use this as the movable shape. So it's interesting to note that the top 2 notes in this position begin the G minor pentatonic. That was the octave above this. G minor pentatonic. I replace my 3rd finger with my 1st. G minor pentatonic, again, same fingering with the shift. So here's my B flat major pentatonic, and G minor pentatonic right on top of that. Now, the only reason I'm using the terms B flat major pentatonic and G minor pentatonic is just to identify that shape that we've kind of isolated. There's the same thing. I call this B flat major pentatonic, but it's also G minor pentatonic. I call this G minor pentatonic, but it's also B flat major pentatonic. They're the same thing. It just depends on which note you start on in that group of 5 notes. That's all. Adhering to a particular fingering when you move to a different string set can benefit, and start to help you to hear the same things in different places on the neck. And yes, they are going to be some different shapes because of that adjustment you have to make with regard to third and second strings. So hopefully that'll help.